Welcome back everybody to another video. This video is going to be on multiplying fractions. Now, what I like about multiplying fractions is there is no finding the lowest common denominator. You don't have to do any of the extra work to get to your answer. But remember, you always have to reduce. So let's go ahead and get started. So to multiply fractions, simplify the fractions if not in lowest terms, then multiply the numerators of the fractions to get the new numerator. Multiply the denominators of the fractions to get the new denominator. So we do not have to simplify the fractions to lowest terms before we multiply, because when we get to our answer, we can simply simplify there. So let's go ahead and get started. What we're going to do is multiply our numerators together to get the new numerator. So 1 times 2 will give us 2. And then 5 times 3 will give us 5. So notice I put it here. Multiply your numerators together, multiply your denominators together, and your answer is going to be 2/15. So 1/5 times 2/3 is 2/15. And that is easy as it is, everybody. So what we're going to do is get to an example problem. So what I did was I put a fraction up here that we're going to have to reduce after we multiply. So that's the reason for this example. So let's get started. Remember, multiply straight across. Bam. Now notice that multiplying fractions, they're set up different than adding and subtracting, because when you're adding and subtracting, it's easier if you set them on top of each other to do it. But when it comes to multiplying, it's a lot easier to set them side by side and multiply straight across. So 2 times 1 give us 2, and then 3 times 2 will give us 6. Now, if you look at 2 and 6, there are no common. Let me rephrase that. If you look at 2 and 6, that will not be your final answer because you have to reduce it. So 2 and 6, what numbers does 2 and 6 share? Well, let's take a look. Here at the bottom, this is actually for the next slide, so sorry about that. So 2 and 6 share the common number of 2. So what we're going to do is divide 2 by 2 to get 1, and 6 by 2 to get 3. So 2/6 would reduce down to 1/3. Now again, if you guys want me to show you guys how we can get there, let me go ahead and erase some of this for us real quick so we can have our example more fresh and clear. Bam. So what we're going to do is we're going to take and find the factors of 2, which are 1 and 2. We're going to take 6, find the factors of 6. 1, 2, 3, and 6. Now the common number they share is 2. And that's again why I divided the top and the bottom both by 2 to reduce our fraction to its simplest form. Perfect. Good job, everybody. Let's go ahead and get to our next example. Our next example is going to be multiplying fractions with whole numbers. Now, the reason why I'm showing you guys this step is because I want to show you guys how to take a whole number and change it to a fraction. So I gave you guys the example here. The way to do that is any whole number that needs to be a fraction goes over 1. So for example, 5 would turn into 5/1. And then you do your multiplication step. So for example, 5 times 1/3. First, take the 5 and make it a fraction by putting it over 1. Now we multiply across. So we have 5/1 times 1/3. So 5 times 1 is 5, and 1 times 3 is 3. Now, since our answer is an improper fraction, what we want to do is change it into a mixed number. Now remember, everybody, to change it to a mixed number, we simply divide the bottom number into the top. So let's go ahead and get to another example so I can show you how to change an improper fraction to a mixed number when we solve to get that answer. So here we go. So what we're going to be doing is, first things first, is we need to make 2 a whole number. I repeat that. We got to make 2 a fraction. So in order to turn 2 into a fraction, we take the 2 and we put it over 1. So now our new fraction is going to be 3/5, and let me erase this right here, times 2 over 1. And then we'll simply multiply straight across. So 3 times 2 give us 6, and 5 times 1 will give us 5. So again, that's an improper fraction. An improper fraction is an improper answer. So we're going to take the bottom number, divide it into the top. Let me cross this off here so no one gets confused. Now 5 can go into 6 one time, because 1 times 5 is 5. And we subtract and we're left with 1. So our fraction, sorry about that. This part right here is a mess. I want to clean that up for everybody because I don't want nobody getting confused. Let me change this a little smaller. There we go. So 5 into 6, because 1 times 5 is 5. We'll do our subtraction and we're left with 1. So our mixed number is 1 and 1/5. So 6 over 5 equals 1 and 1/5. Perfect. All right. Sorry about that, everybody. So let's go ahead and get to our next part, which is going to be multiplying with mixed numbers. Now, multiplying with mixed numbers is pretty fun. And let me rephrase that. It's not real fun at all. But I want to let me grab my scissors. Bam! So let's go ahead and get to that slide, everybody. Now, to multiply with mixed numbers, this is what we do. The first step is to change both mixed numbers into improper fractions, then multiply the fractions across. So in my first video, I showed you guys how to change mixed numbers into improper fractions. So first step is to change both mixed numbers into improper fractions and then multiply across. So 3 times 1 is 3, plus 2 is 5. So that's how we get the 5 over 3. Bottom stays the same. Now here, 2 times 2 is 4, plus 1 is 5. The bottom stays the same, so you have 5 over 2. Now, what we can do is we can multiply straight across. 5 times 5 give us 25, and 3 times 2, which will give us 6. So, take a look at our answer. What kind of answer is it? Perfect, an improper fraction. Now change your improper fraction into a mixed number by using division, everybody. Now, let's go ahead and get to this example on my page. Bam. So here we go. 1 and 1/2 times 2 and 1/2. So I already know I am going to have to change these fractions over. I also know that both of my denominators are going to stay the same. Next thing, I'm going to multiply and then add the top. Let me change that and then add the top. So multiply and then add. 2 times 1 is 2, plus 1 is 3. So let's get our 3 here. We have 2 times 2, which is 4, plus 1, which is 5. So that's going to go up here. So we have 5 over 2. Now our next step is to multiply straight across. 3 times 5 give us 15. we have 2 times 2, which will give us 4. And now we have an improper fraction. So let's go ahead and change our improper fraction into a mixed number. 4 divided by 15. Because remember, we do the bottom divided into the top. Now 4 can go into 15. Let's say, what, 3 times? Because 4 times 3 give us 12. Do your subtraction, and you're left with 3. So your mixed number would be red 3 and 3/4. So your final answer is 3 and 3/4. And you're done. And that is how you multiply fractions, everybody. If you have any questions, leave a comment below. I'll get back to any of your questions. Now, you have any problems with any of this, please, please, please let me know. I'll be right there to help you. All right, everybody, have a great day. I'll be back with my next video, which is going to be dividing fractions, dividing whole numbers with fractions, and dividing mixed numbers. I hope you liked the video, and we'll see you next time.